Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Kicking off this S70 Restoration T5M. Man, I was hoping you'd got this thing out here and rinsed it off. I already got the subframe bushings out.
Yep.
I told somebody, I said, man, this guy's working, man. He's not sitting there watching. He's working. He's trying to get this stuff done.
I got the other power steering rack swapped on it.
Oh, cool. Is the arms and stuff a little better shape?
Yeah, they are. Okay,
cool. So, still got it on the lift. Got some of this floor cleaned up, I see. I wanted to show you guys this El Camino SS. Man, I see some nice cars in this town. And check it out. An old Amazon. This thing is for sale. Somebody wants it. Interior looks like it's in decent shape. Man, a little bit of cancer on it here and there, but it's by no means, and it's registered and running. So, hey, somebody could get a touch of the past if they want over here. Anyway, let's get to work. Get this car back together, baby. Next up, water pump replacement. If you see cogs missing, the water pump is original. They quit doing that around 2000. You can see it was weeping coolant out of it, so didn't have much longer to go. How many miles was on this engine?
130.
130,000, but it's 20 years old. 24 years old. Take these bolts out, save them, and put them in thermostat housings. I'm going to keep saying it until I quit seeing those torques in those thermostat housings. Now we can knock this off, pull this out, pull this off, get this out of the way, pull this old original idler off so we can replace all this stuff, have it all refreshed. This stuff's all original. So this harmonic balancer, you can see that cracking in there. We're going to pull this off, do the crank seal behind there just for preventive maintenance. So we're going to check the other harmonic balancer, see if it's in better shape. I had to replace mine. When I tightened up my suspension with subframe spacers and all that stuff, I could actually feel my crank turning in my car when I was stopped at lights and stuff. And it turned out to be the harmonic balancer. Well, it wasn't any good anymore. So I replaced mine with a used one, unfortunately. But if you see this, you could buy one, get them, I don't know, 100, 200 bucks, give you another 20 years. Got that water pump Volvo gasket, baby. Look at that little bit left on there. Clean this off with a wire brush. Slap the new one on. We are rolling along. Never did a water pump upside down before. Timing belt job. This is not too bad. Alright, got the harmonic balancer off. Getting ready to pull the crank pulley. Hopefully it'll slide off without much effort. Pry just a little bit here off the oil pump and get to that seal behind there. I got the tool. Had to use that puller to get this sprocket off this crank. Man, that thing was tight. That's the front crank seal. Pretty dry, but we're going to get it replaced. Here's that nipple that you got to get that timing belt under whenever you're doing a timing belt job.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people forget that. Try to put the timing belt on this side of it instead of this side of it, and doesn't go on well. Then the belt's too short, so they claim. Your crank pulley only goes on one way. See that key? It's doubled there. All the rest of them are normal teeth. And right there you got two teeth sweated together. So that's how that goes on. Your crank will be right. And this is the timing belt mark. This little wedge right here. That goes to that timing belt mark there. and that crank will be set right where it needs to be to clear your valves for your timing. Let me go ahead and drive this on here. Here's a video of how to get the belt on if the harmonic balancer is on. You see that little metal tip there. You take the belt, face the teeth away from the car, away from the engine. You tuck it behind that thing like that, that tip guide there. You pull the belt around the cover, tucking it behind the cover so that it goes right. Do the same thing on the other side, and then you flip that onto the teeth. I'm gonna take 2 hands to do it so you guys can see. I got the part of the belt in the cover over there, then I came up, started to tuck this in, and that part just flipped right over the teeth of the crank. Now I got to make sure I get this belt twisted right behind this cover. It's like it takes 2 hands to do that. And the belt is on the crank. Now this belt likes to jump around while you put it over your pulleys and stuff. And to avoid that, you want to get some vacuum hose and put it in between the belt and this little rubber nipple there on that guide. So you put a piece of vacuum hose under there, leave it under there until you get the timing set, ready to pull a pin out the tensioner and roll the engine over. So let me grab a piece of silicone hose. We have the block head side up. Look at the cross hatching in those pistons. Man, this thing probably has great compression. So we're about to clean this off, clean out the holes where the bolts go, and get ready to bolt this head on, baby. 45-minute head gasket job, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you guys the 45-second head gasket install. Takes me 45 seconds because I'm out of practice, but I can get it on there in about 45 seconds. Give me a chance. Yeah, there it is. Head gasket installed. Did you guys time that? Got the head totally torqued on. Took a lunch break. Getting ready to put this IPD anti-sway bar on this subframe over here. We got the replacement rack on there. We got the bushings pushed out. With the subframe off of the car, that 2-pound sledge knocked those bushings right out of there. And we have the, I think, Kerplanky subframe bushings we're going to press in there. So here in a few minutes, we're going to put an engine on here and the trans and lift this thing up, put it in position, and then lower the car down on it. So we are ending our lunch break. We got the locking tool in the back, so we know timing is dead on. We got the crank on the mark. Perfect little dash right there. Let me point the screwdriver to there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Right there where that shadow is. Little notch in there. Up here, got that mark on there. There's the mark right to that groove. Right here, you got this mark hitting right there. It's like a half tooth off, but whoever marked it, I think marked it off, so you could remark that. Because the locking tool's on the back, we know it's perfect, and you don't have any slack. And the belt up here, well, it's just a little slacky. It could be turned back a little bit. So let me turn that gear back a little bit. Loosen that up, turn that gear back a little bit, and it'll be right on. Take the slack out of this belt, then we'll be good to go. So that mark is even closer, an eighth of a tooth off. That one's right on. That mark's right on. We're good to go. Pin is pulled. We're going to pull the locking thing off the back, roll it around a couple times, double check the timing, and this thing will be ready to roll, baby. There it is, the perfect horizontal line. The intake part number's down, the exhaust part number's up. Air's coming in, down, out, up. All right, we got the cam sensor pickup. As you can see, the holes are offset to the lower side. The cam slot is offset to the lower side. This goes on like that. Those little tabs lock in there. You can put this in and lock that in, one of the tabs in the slot, smash the other tab, but your pickup will be 180 degrees off and it won't fire in the right order. So roll this thing around, let it fall in place, put the screw in, good to go. And if your setting up timing is right, this moon is more down. This pickup is down, the top of it's open. This is the rotor sensor. It's got that same type of tabs on there. This slot is more up, those tabs are more up. This little notch goes like 5 o'clock position. Put that in position till it falls in place. Snug your screw down. Put your cover bolt in. It's got the red sealant on there, so you know you did a professional job. That's the key right there. If you did that, the world will continue to rotate in the right direction. We are chugging right along. Got the timing set, that checked. Got to put that spacer in there. Everything on the timing's done. Put a brand new thermostat in. Cleaned all the residue coolant off of the thermostat housing and around the top here. I just went ahead and wire brushed the intake manifold gasket mating surface. We got these on. You seen that. Got that cam sensor on. I epoxied this cam sensor plug, the back of it, so that those wires are not exposed. Wire brush this. So got some of that stuff cleaned up. We're trugging later along. The PCV system is clean, but it failed the glove test. More than likely, somebody had leaned on a hose or something, busted a hose. That's why that was messed up. Changing the spark plugs, getting ready to hang the R exhaust manifold, and it's going to be easy with that out. We didn't have one of these gaskets. Man, we got about 10 turbo tube gaskets and none of those. So I took one that's supposed to seal the K24. I cut the end of it off so that it could go through the bolt holes. And, you know, I didn't want to show you that hack. Don't do that. Get the right gasket. We are out here in the sticks and trying to get this done, and it's a weekend, so we're not flying in to a Volvo dealer for that. So we're trucking along. We got the anti-sway bar mounted on the subframe. Next thing we're going to do is get that engine down with the hoist and mount up the clutch flywheel, get that aligned and put on, bolt that transmission on there, and keep it moving. Ready to use the good IPD heater hoses. Cut the end of these heater hoses off, put these on with a clamp. You want these things to be molded so that they don't restrict coolant flow. About to install the exhaust manifold. Got the gaskets, got that brushed off with a wire brush. Got the water pipe, of course, and we talked about that. I also am going to be installing this R exhaust manifold. You see, it's an exhaust manifold because all of the exhaust ports drop straight down, and it has Volvo and that number on there, and the cage is recessed in there. Now, some people have sold these off as being Japanifolds, all because they have Japan written on the back, but that's not so. Let me show you this other exhaust manifold. The stock turbo exhaust manifold has 3 of the exhaust ports dropping down, and this, for some reason, number 1 is coming across the top and coming down. But you see, this cage is not recessed, it's level with the manifold mating surface. And if you look close at this one has a huge crack in it. That is horrible. Anyway, there's another exhaust manifold that some people prefer because they believe it gives you better top end flow at high RPMs, and it's called a Japanifold. It looks exactly like the stock T5 manifold, except this cage is recessed like this one. This hole is bigger than even the exhaust manifold, and right over here it has the word Japan across the front, not across the back. So you have the T5 manifold, the Japanifold with Japan across the front, and then you have the R manifold with every port coming down in Japan on the back. One more thing about exhaust manifolds: if you are in the market for buying an exhaust manifold, make sure it has two studs here. If one is missing, that's okay. If one is broken, you don't even want to pay for it, because you'll have to pay a machine shop $50 or $100 just to get that broken stud out of there. So don't buy a manifold that has a broken stud in it. This one has two studs, that's good. Also, on these exhaust flanges, you want an exhaust flange with two studs in it. You don't want an exhaust flange with one of these broken. You'll have to pay a machine shop to get that out. These flange bolts or studs are so hard in steel, you're probably not going to get that out at home. So you want to make sure it has two studs in it. You want to make sure it's got 3 downpipe studs in it. If one of them's broke, don't buy it. They can give it to you, then you can pay to have the stud removed, but it's not worth buying one with a broken stud. This vehicle is being upgraded to a 19T. Turbo is spinning good, feels fine, has not been rebuilt. It's a stock 19T, probably off a 2000 V70R. So we're going to pressurize the wastegate, test that. The back of this thing is not as gray as I like them. Normally you want those things gray, like how light brown gray that is. You want that to be light brown, but it's not black, so it's probably not blowing a lot of oil out of it. But sometimes when these are dark, it's because the engine was blowing so much oil out of it that it made these black as well. But you want to make sure they don't have any in and out shaft play if you're going to install them, and not any side to side shaft play that would cause your blades to hit the walls of the turbo. You know, it's a little harder to check when they have not been pressurized with oil, but if you see scrapings in there, you want to back away, get that thing rebuilt. So we're going to go ahead and put this on. You have a guide pin in your exhaust flange right there. That guide pin lines up with that hole right there. So that's how you know you get that lined up. Make sure it's not binding when you put it together. Then put the clamp on it. Clamp has to go in a certain position so that it's not in the way of any of your lines connecting. Get that together as close as you can. Stick your hand down in the turbo. Make sure that thing's spinning freely, it's not binding. Then go ahead and put the clamp on it. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.